YouTube, what's going on with you boys, man? And the 5%, 5.8% from my analytics that say that women watch this channel as well. What's going on with you all, man? Hope you all having a good week, man. It's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. The weather's starting to turn around, getting ready for spring over here. Saw some bees out on my deck a moment ago, plotting, trying to drill some holes in my deck and make some nest or whatever it is they do over there. But yeah, besides that though, just want to get into something that I've been thinking about for a while now. Now this isn't any kind of like Marvel Rivals hate or anything. We don't really do that on the channel. We usually just try to give constructive criticism on the channel. And if you're new to the channel, what's going on with you all. Welcome. But nonetheless though, the only thing that I've ever really complained about in the past and thought is something that needs some looking into is just kind of like the matchmaking, the EOMM and stuff like that. But besides that though, I feel like they've been doing a great job updating the game, which is good for the longevity of the game and its lifespan and stuff like that. They've been doing a really good job of listening to player feedback outside of the matchmaking issue and stuff. But besides that, though, there's just one thing that I have been kind of thinking about that I feel like I've noticed with games and what kind of can keep a game's lifespan up versus, if it's something that isn't paid attention to, can very easily kind of get people to go away from it and get into other games. And I know this might sound weird to a lot of people, but cosmetics, and some people might think like, well, they've been releasing cosmetics. Yeah, they have, just very slowly. They're really taking their time. And the thing is that I get that, for one, that the art department is always going to be different from I highly doubt that they have the same people that are making cosmetics and stuff. They're the ones that are doing bug fixes or working on actual updates for the game, all that kind of stuff. I feel like any good company or game company that's not some super small indie company is going to have a completely different group of people that their sole job is to work on the art. And then even when it comes to the actual art for the game versus making the cosmetics for the in-game models and stuff like that are completely different, right? But something that I do think is interesting though is that when you look at games that are really popular and games that were popular that have kind of slowly fallen off, and I'll give you an example, right? You think about Call of Duty and Fortnite, right? Fortnite, they have so many skins, it is absolutely ridiculous, right? They just continuously pump out skins. I had read an article not too long ago where Disney was saying that they wanted to basically have their own kind of universe in Fortnite. I forget exactly how they were explaining it, but they're basically saying moving forward, they pretty much are just going to give Fortnite reign to do whatever it is they kind of want to do. And you think about it, they have released. Now the thing is that I don't play Fortnite anymore. I played it when it very first came out. I played it for the first few seasons because it was the cool thing. That's what everybody was doing. It was a really fun game. But eventually, once other battle royales and stuff came out, I stopped playing it, right? But I've played pretty much all of the prominent battle royales outside of PUBG. PUBG I never really got into. Wasn't really my style. I know there's a lot of people that do like it, but it just wasn't me personally. Around that time, you had Apex and Call of Duty and stuff like that. So there were other games I was more into that felt like were of a higher standard of the development and all that kind of stuff and updates and everything. So that's one thing. But you take something like Fortnite, like I said. Fortnite is just regularly pumping out the cosmetics. And something that I noticed about people is that there'll be a lot of people, whether it's content that I've covered in the past in regards to stuff that were coming out and stuff like that, or, just random comments that I've seen, whether it be on Twitter or other people's videos, whatever, right? But, let's say there's a group of people that have stopped playing a game like Fortnite, for example, and, they haven't played it in months, but then they say, hey, we're releasing a Master Chief skin, or we're releasing Peter from Family Guy, or we have Jujutsu Kaisen, or whatever the case may be. And that's something that you're really, really into. There's a lot of people that will go back to the game just to get that skin and run around as it, even if because you got to think about it, right? For example, let's say it's something like an anime or something where they don't use guns at all, but Fortnite, that's what it is. It's a shooter, so you'll have a lot of people that will be perfectly fine playing the game, even though it doesn't fit the aesthetic of what the skin is about. It might be Ninja Turtles or something, right? Ninja Turtles don't use guns. They're ninjas, right? Ninja Turtles, hence the name, right? But at the same time, a lot of people will go and they're like, man, I got to get the Ninja Turtles, right? Or they're doing a really good job with this crossover, whatever the case is, right? The Avengers, very few of them actually, use anything that's like that. But at the same time, though, people will jump in and buy whatever their favorite character is and run around and do whatever it is. And the thing is that the difference with Fortnite is that they actually have a bunch of different modes where it can just be a social thing. My son plays Fortnite, and the majority of the time he's not playing the battle royale. He's just doing like random modes and like the creative aspect of it and stuff like that. So that is something that I noticed, right? And then you compare like Fortnite to like Apex Legends, right? And when I did play Apex, that was one of the biggest gripes that I had with Apex, was it just felt like they just did a terrible job on cosmetics. Like, I mean, they would release these battle passes and it was always just, what is the point? Even my wife, sometimes like she doesn't really game as much. I mean, sometimes she will play with me different things when she finds an interest in it, but that's not her main thing. But she does watch a lot of the content, and she pays attention to like what I'm doing. She'll come in the game room and sit down and hang out, and she'll go, "Oh, that's really cool. I like that." And she is into like animes and different things and stuff, right? But at the same time, though, even she noticed as someone who just an observer, she was just kind of like, Apex just doesn't seem like they really care about their cosmetics, and that's something that drives people away from a game. Your game can be super fun, but if you're seeing games like Fortnite and Call of Duty where they're constantly popping out these really cool, bundles and having really cool like different crossovers and stuff, they've done Ninja Turtles, they've done Gundam, they have the Terminators and stuff. Back in Cold War, we got like the 80s, bundles and stuff that had John McClane from Die Hard, and then you had Rambo and stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera. They even had the what is it, Judge Dredd? Yeah. So I mean, it's just like you can go on and on about all these different like cosmetics that they release and stuff. And the point that I'm making is that what's really interesting is that Marvel Rivals doesn't have to like worry about licensing or anything, right? This is a Marvel game. They have rights to the Marvel IP in regards to like being able to have the characters and stuff. And that was something that was actually a really big deal with the game. Originally, they weren't willing to pay Marvel for the rights to be able to like use the characters and stuff like that, or for it to be like one of their IPs and stuff. They were actually going to just like, I think they said they had made a bunch of like original characters, because if you think about it, a lot of the characters share similarities to Overwatch, right? Like you can sit back and you can say, oh, okay, well, Doctor Strange is similar to, and you have to forgive me, I don't play Overwatch, so I might mess up some of the names, but it's like Symmetra, I think, is the one that's able to like teleport people from point A to point B. So it's kind of like Doctor Strange. You got like Junkrat, I believe his name is, who's like a squirrel girl. Like the abilities are similar, right? But the thing is, though, is that it lines up and it makes sense. I mean, do you think Doctor Strange is the first person to ever make a portal to somewhere? I mean, Rick and Morty does that too. So if technically, if I don't know, whoever owns Rick and Morty's rights, I guess Cartoon Network or something, if they were to make a game with all of their IPs or whatever, they would probably do something similar as well if it was like a hero shooter type of game. Nonetheless, the point that I'm making is that they have access to so many different characters, right? And that's one thing, because like characters, you don't want to like flood the game with characters like too quickly, because then I feel like it would kind of become overwhelming for people, because people do get overwhelmed very easily with things. That's just something that you learn through like content creation, something as simple as thumbnails. If you put too much stuff on the screen, people are just kind of like, oh, but if it's not enough stuff, people go, I'll go to this other thing that has bigger, bolder text and brighter colors, and they have the saturation turned up, whatever, right? So it's like this perfect little balance. So you don't want to, I think that they're doing all right with like releasing the characters and stuff. Yeah, there's people who, like, oh, I want Cyclops, and they didn't release Cyclops this season. That irritates me. But, we already have, the game is in its first season, going on second season, and we already have 37 characters or something like that. I think 33 plus 4. Yeah, so 37 characters, right? And they're just going to keep adding them every season. So you got to think about after a year, how many different characters you're going to have to choose from. So you do kind of have to like space that out a bit. Excuse me. But in regards to cosmetics, though, cosmetics, you can keep those things flowing, and I'm not going to lie to you. The first battle pass, I thought it was all right. I felt like it was a decent battle pass for a beginner battle pass, because that was like season 0, right? So it wasn't even like a full battle pass. It wasn't a full season. And then this new battle pass came out, and I'm not even going to lie to you guys, did not care much for the whole aesthetic that they went for, like the Dracula and all of the skins looking exactly the same. I get they're trying to like fit a theme and stuff like that, but for having a game that has so many different things that you can pull from, like the Marvel universe, where it's almost kind of damn near infinite, the amount of stuff that you can pull from and take, and different costumes and characters, and it's like, even if you don't plan on, like, for example, in the thumbnail I had what is it? I forget exactly what it's called. I think it's Infamous Doom or whatever it's called. When Doom ends up getting a Iron Man suit, I forget exactly what it was. That was one of my favorite arcs, though. But it's been a while since I read it. Nonetheless, though, at one point in time, Doom got like an Iron Man suit, right? And if you don't plan on adding Doom in the near future, why not give Iron Man that suit? Like, I could just go on and on. It's like there's characters that we already have in the game that you don't have to, like, do anything crazy with. Spider-Man, for example, all the Spider-Man skins that they've released kind of look exactly the same to me, and there's so many different variations of Spider-Man. He's had so many different suits. You have so many different parallel universes, so many different things. I think the only one that kind of seems really any different from the rest of them is the what is it, the Spider-Punk 2099 skin that's coming out, and that's just kind of like a mashup of like two characters that we already have and stuff. And I could just go on and on with like so many different characters. And what's funny to me is that they keep releasing skins for characters that I feel like aren't even the most commonly picked characters. I could be wrong, but like you think about Magic, for example. How often do you actually run into? Not saying that there's not a lot of Magic players, but in the grand scheme of how many people actually regularly pick characters, Magic I feel like is kind of like down there, right? Like she doesn't have one of the highest like pick rates out of all the other characters. And then you take someone who does have an extremely high pick rate, like Cloak and Dagger. Mantis, right? Just a couple of different people that a lot of people like to go for. Sue Storm, just different folks and stuff like that you see all the time. And it's like for them, they have very few skins. And, I don't really get that because one, your whole entire thing with a free-to-play game is the cosmetics. I know a lot of people, they feel like the cosmetics should just be free or they should be $2 a pop or something. It's like, bro, let's be real here, man. Like, I could see if we were having to pay like $70-$80 for the game or something, right? But at the same time, aside from that, it's the game is free to play, right? And it's something that's constantly being updated, constantly being worked on, right? It's called a live service game because it's constantly being upgraded and updated and stuff like that. So the only way that they're making any money is by releasing bundles. And, I feel like I can count on one hand how many bundles we've had released like this season. It might be slightly over that, but even still, though, it's kind of weird to me because like Fortnite, there's so many skins that get released, I lose track of them. Whenever I do like sit down to like play with my son, every once in a while my son will ask me like, "Yo, Dad, can we play Fortnite?" Oh yeah, sure, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'll hang out with for a bit, play Fortnite, flex on them with my my OG skins that I have and stuff. But still, like when I go in the store and I just see all the different variations of stuff that they have, I'm like, well, this is kind of almost overwhelming. There's just so much stuff. If I can think of it, it probably already exists in Fortnite. Call of Duty, I don't play it as much anymore because they stopped actually caring about the game and we're only pumping out cosmetics. And like I said, there has to be a balance. You have to actually have a game that people want to play. It can't be, you have hackers and stuff running rampant. There's bugs that have been in there since the game released and you're still like, oh, well, I guess we'll just not pay attention to that and expect people to want to come in. But at the same time, when they released the Ninja Turtles, do you think I didn't load it back up and just get it just so then the event that in the next couple of months or however long that they actually fix the game and rectify a lot of the issues and stuff that they're having, that I don't have the option to run around as Leonardo or Michelangelo or something like that? I mean, come on now, let's be real, right? Same thing when they had the Gundam crossover. I immediately copped those. I'm a huge Gundam fan, love Gundam, and you're telling me I can run around as the as the main ones and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's little stuff like that. But, I do feel like that they need to kind of like step it up. And I don't know if it's almost like they're afraid that if they pump out too many cosmetics, people won't want to buy stuff or whatever. But I highly doubt that that's the thing. And in a game where people have so many different characters to choose from and so many different characters that they want to play, why not just kind of like pump out these cosmetics? And not everyone needs to have the crazy MVP screen or the crazy intro or emotes and sound effects that they make when they do whatever, yada yada. I'm perfectly fine with a lot of times you just giving me the skin that I want that I can wear. And especially the fact that it's a third-person game, so like you can actually see the skin. You're seeing it from behind, but even still, though, like you're able to see the skin. So it's not even like a situation like Call of Duty where all you're ever seeing is your arms and stuff. And when you buy skins, you're really just buying them for other people to see them, unless you're doing a finishing move or something, and then you get to see it, from whatever angle that the finishing move allows. But nonetheless, though, that's just kind of my thoughts. I just think that as a game where that's your primary source of income, not even primary, but your only source of income is through your bundles and cosmetics and stuff. Pump those things out, man. Hire a few more people if you need to. What's it gonna do? It's only gonna make you money. You know what I'm saying? And you have so many people that have already modded so many things. Some of them are not safe for work. You know what I mean? But for the most part, though, a lot of the cosmetics are just things people want, like the symbiote suit for Spider-Man. You drop that, you're gonna make a ridiculous amount of money. Who doesn't want to run around as the all-black Spider-Man, right? Like the one that I have in the thumbnail. The cosmic version of Spider-Man. Just like stuff like that. Just drop those. And I'm saying Spider-Man because lately I've been loving playing as Spider-Man and just targeting healers and squishies and stuff like that and giving people just the worst experience humanly possible. But I'm a troll. That's what I like to do. But in ranked, I'm usually a healer. And even still, like even with that, Invisible Woman, Cloak and Dagger. Like the only Cloak and Dagger skin that we've gotten is that recently is that I forget what it's called. I think it's Twilight Duo or something like that. And even with that skin, I got it, and I really got it more for like content and to upload a video of the gameplay and stuff like that, which that did fine. But me personally, that's not really what I'm looking for. Like pump out some more of those skins. That the majority of ranked matches, there's a Cloak and Dagger and a Susan Storm, or Sue Storm, right? So make more skins. Like it doesn't have to be this. We get 5 to 6 skins per season type of deal. That's kind of weird to me, especially when you have 37 characters in the game. That's kind of weird that that's the case. Maybe they're just more worried about the actual experience and getting things done. But like I said, there should be a separate department for that. I'd be willing to bet pretty much anything that there is a separate department that's literally their only job is to make cosmetics. And even still, with the game, it's not like it's a super realistic, like in regards to like graphics game. So I feel like it probably, I don't develop skins or anything. I just feel like it probably is easier to develop skins for games like Fortnite and for this versus when you have to do them for like Call of Duty or more like graphically realistic looking games, where they really take a lot of detail, like something like Mortal Kombat or something. But still, though, that's just my 2 cents on it. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that they're pumping them out at the right pace? Do you think that they could do better? Also, too, if there's skins that you guys want to see, if you're interested in, if you have favorites that they haven't said anything about or anything like that, drop it in the comments. Let me know. I love to hear from you guys and what your thoughts and opinions are, even if they're different from my own. I don't. This is not a echo chamber here. We don't all have to agree. We can agree to disagree at the end of the day. But nonetheless, those are my thoughts. And I appreciate you guys for listening. I'm Dark, and I'm out.